Hello and welcome to the Think Tank. Each day we share the news in open dialogue and discuss how it might affect the business world. We speak with different leaders on crisis navigation and management, as well as experts in professional and personal self-betterment. It's meant to be a break in some learning and sharing of good news and ideas to start people thinking and moving forward. It's called the Think Tank. A quick intro, since there's only three today. There would be Alberto Elizondo, photographer extraordinaire, normally sports photographer, today pigeons. Thank you, Alberto. And Robbie Sawyer from Thinker Society, global thinker experience designer. Robbie helps people get to their better ideas faster and helps them with guided ideation to work through their challenges. Interesting time to be doing that, Robbie. Lots of people are looking for new ways to attack their challenges. Maybe we talk about that today. And finally, all the way from Houston, Texas, driving quickly to the studio so he can be live on camera, Mike Toman, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
What's up, Mikey?
We better stop messing around too much. We've got
DC.
4 people on YouTube.
Yeah, DC, big dog.
And there is Doug Carroll. Thanks for joining, Doug. Doug is an advisor and a coach for executives and boardrooms that are in challenge or crisis, which keeps him up 24 hours a day these days. He's done that for the likes of Apple and Disney and AT&T and just about every hospital chain on the map. Kind of.
Sam,
we
looks
do
like
not
Doug might.
have-
Did Doug got dressed up today? Didn't he?
I know.
Dressed
Look
up
at
today,
that.
Doug? No. Okay.
No,
I'll share. I did get an interesting email.
even older T-shirt.
Okay.
Let me share this email I did get from the distinguished university professor. I wonder how you get that designation, distinguished. But Dr. Paulus did send in an email, and he said, I have some competing events in the next few days, and I'm also busy with some time-sensitive projects. So I'll be phasing out for a little bit, but keep me posted with special guests if you need my input. We received a grant from the Army to develop a computational system to enhance collaborative innovation. This should keep me engaged for the next 3 years. Is anyone working on anything like that? Okay. Anyway, so no Dr. Paulus today. I have some fun. Well, it's time for news. I had some interesting news I heard. So Korea, as we all know, has done a great job. They immediately locked down. They immediately applied technology to start quelching the rapid and rampant spread of COVID, and they did, and they really knocked those numbers down, and it got down to there was 4 or 6 people a day that were recontracting, and that was it. So everyone was happy with that until this last weekend when one gentleman who they've identified went clubbing to all these different clubs and proceeded to at least touch and have contact with 1,500 people.
Oh.
So now they're on this big surge. Now, the interesting thing is they are incredibly technically connected there. So they've got digital tracing. So they're able to see who he was close to and who they can reach out to and do some basic testing. The interesting note, though, on that is that not many people are willing to come forward to say that they were at those locations because it appears that those clubs were LBGT clubs and they don't want other people knowing that. So there's a problem there. So you can't say I'm one of the lucky 1,500 because that's followed by, oh, really? So where were you?
So, Sam, how did you get that information?
Because I was one of the 1,500.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just curious.
51.
Wasn't sure how that went down.
I just wonder what the
That's
flight
great.
was like between Korea and here.
Yeah, no, it's
I know, right?
I mean, it's the bigger discussion of anonymity and the personalization of data. How deep can you get into that and still keep people happy? I mean, I think you can. They went pretty deep, but I think you could you could only go maybe a quarter that deep with Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, probably.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go anywhere as deep as they did, and I don't know. Doug can speak to that if we have that digital tracing. I know we talked about it a little bit, but is that a reality? Could they really right now say Sam was infected and in the last 2 weeks he was this close to this many people?
That's a two-part answer. The answer is it absolutely exists in the background of all the technology that we have. It does not exist in a connected foreground sense. We would have to go do some work to unlock that capability. But your phones today currently trace all of your activities, and all the carriers know all the different bits and pieces from all the different phones. So all you'd have to do is create the linkage system between the two. I'm not aware of that linkage at the moment, but my understanding is that's a big part of what the Apple Google tracing program was designed to do, was to give you that capability, but then shield it before
So
you
they
got
could
to
only use it.
before somebody could crack it. So
We
it's
talked about
fascinating.
that back in the in your Apple days about being able to tag people geolocation wise to say, hey, I see you're headed home. Did you know milk's half off at 7-Eleven as you're driving by?
Oh, that's
you're out of
all.
milk.
Yeah, that's now old technology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To which
You know,
someone has to say, wait a second, people know that I am driving my car or on my phone? I didn't know that happened.
Well, and you've got that going on though all over. For example, UPS. Okay, they're geolocating every single one of their trucks. So when you get into the UPS truck and you've got their portable device, it's geolocating and tracking every truck. And then it goes back and it gives you all the data on where you went, how many stops you made, how much gas was used. And you got that throughout all the trucking industry. Geolocation and geofencing is normal, because the single biggest theft area in the trucking industry was the drivers taking their trucks and running errands on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they weren't stealing the truck. They just went 25 or 30 miles in the truck that they weren't supposed to go. So they stopped a lot of that. But the question is going to be, what's that?
Nothing, go ahead.
The question is going to be, as we hit the second wave that's now locked, was it 3 more countries went locked down yesterday or today? Because of the second wave.
Re-lockdown?
Huh? Re-lockdown.
On re-lockdown? Whoa.
Yeah.
Which
Okay,
countries? Which countries? Which countries?
Lebanon went to re-lockdown. Phooey. I just forgot. There were 3 countries.
Never
one
been
was
to
Lebanon.
before.
I thought one was in Asia. And China went back to full lockdown in 3 provinces, if I remember it right, based on a second wave coming out of Wuhan and some other places. If that wave hits, you know, in America, what's going to be interesting to me is to say, will people then say, I will allow you to do all the tracing and tracking and everything else, and once that is out of the bag, can you ever go back? Just like we were talking about everything else that's going, you can't go back to lockdown in America. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be different.
I know, it just, you know, for me, Doug, and don't take this the wrong way, it's like we make comments like 3 countries went on re-lockdown yesterday. It's like, you know, it just, for me anyway, it's like I kind of get, you know, it's like trying to wrap my head around that, just trying to understand what that means.
Well,
I mean, just generally saying,
I think the interesting part, so you got to look at those countries and what they are and how they work versus us, right?
And what they did initially, correct.
Yeah, well, but saying Lebanon, which is the size of a small state in the US, went back on lockdown isn't the same as saying China or the US is going back on lockdown. So saying that, and then you look at the numbers, they went back on lockdown based on a reasonably small new incline, right? So they were doing it proactively, to say, we're going to go send everybody back in. It's going to be for 5 days. We're going to go do a scrub, so it wasn't a giant panic thing in those cases. So what's going to be interesting when you see that, what is our reaction to that as a whole? And then what is the intent of what they do? So we've got cities, if I understand it right, we've got some cities that are going into higher lockdowns as we walk through reopening in America.
Which cities?
I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry, my brain is foggy.
Yeah, I hear you.
They weren't big ones. It wasn't like Chicago or New York or someplace. It's some of the ones that are doing it that have got, that are the mid-sized cities that are just going through their first run.
Hey, Doug, would it ever be, did you ever find a situation where giving up your privacy would be illegal?
Sure.
Because I think that's the next big fight for the Supreme Court would be privacy, as it was civil rights in the 60s and big government in the 40s and 30s. It was, now this is, what's privacy? How much of it can you give away? How much
I think it's going to be huge. I think that is a fundamental question we may run into. I think that's spot on. And I'm a libertarian. I want my privacy.
I do too. And if it's not illegal for me to give it away, they'll find a way to get it from me.
Well,
that is worth more than oil.
What's funny is that's one of the things that, believe it or not, we've had lots of conversations back in my Apple days is, because we were fairly tough on our stance with the government that we would not give them the access to the keys to the data kingdom of the Apple product. And that lost us a few customers and gained us a lot more. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens as we go through with this, whoever is the next president, whether it's Trump or Biden, will they continue to chip away at this with the idea of public health as the hammer? It's going to be a fight.
Hammer. Yeah.
Egypt is going back in lockdown.
That's it. That's one of them. Yeah.
Does it do any good to, discuss economies of scale on these? Because, Lebanon, is like 7 million people. That's like a major metropolitan area in the United States. One metropolitan area. So
I
think that's an important differential.
I'm sorry?
It's like our discussion on Vienna.
Yeah. Context is important in this. Context is critical into having these discussions. Saying a country went to lockdown can be used either as as a situation of, interesting scientific news or as a wave of panic, and everything I read about Lebanon said that they were doing it as a early preventative measure, not as a response to a giant, return to the pandemic, situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some of those places are also susceptible to uprisings in a matter of minutes sometimes, and maybe that's why they're doing it too. They want to piss off that many people that quick.
Yeah, well, that you need context from on the ground. I did see one thing I thought was interesting though, that they had teams of people in hazmat suits walking the streets, spraying literally the buildings and the streets on the outside. And so you get back to context. I can't imagine being able to do that in the U.S. hardly. You know, we're a little bigger than that.
No, they'll do. I mean, you can go do that in particular spaces or arenas or malls or sidewalks even. But what you'll learn is that clean and that safety is a moment in time.
Yep.
It goes away the minute it dries.
You guys see what they're doing in Amsterdam? The outdoor dining. It's like little glass houses. Closed.
No.
Try that in Dallas in June.
You'll know what the ant under the magnifying glass feels like, right?
Yeah. No, I saw that, Alberto. It looked really cool, but it was also like the perfect temperature and everything. Yeah. It looked like a photo shoot, not reality.
Yeah.
They had pictures today of Shanghai Disney's opening. Yeah. And what it looks like. And I thought that was, because, those guys are on top of that kind of stuff. And they had it very orderly and they had everything marked off. And, all the cast members were wearing masks. Every guest had to be wearing a mask unless they were dining. And the early indicators were it did not feel like the Disney experience of old, but it felt better than nothing. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Wow.
Hey, wait, that first picture, they didn't have masks on.
Well, because they were wearing masks before, they're cool, and now it's
don't worry
cool
about
to wear masks, so they had to take them off.
Yeah, that first one's just stock photography.
Yeah, the U.S. is just being trendy.
Hey, speaking of that, did you guys see when they were closing the beaches down? And I don't know if it was Florida or Georgia. They had somebody had taken a shot, and that was the photo that they ran with. And then when they started closing the beaches around LA down, they posted the same picture. There are a couple of media outlets did that. It's exact same photo.
It's like the one of the guy landing on the moon. God.
Yeah.
No.
That's the epitome of sensational and lazy. Just make it hot, but don't make it too hard for yourself.
Any other NBA? Someone was saying the NBA is coming back. Anyone?
I thought they were scheduled to open up practice facilities this coming Friday.
Yeah, and I did go look up yesterday to see whatever happened to that financial advisory board for Trump. And man, all the PR around it is about how great it is and what it's going to do. But then there's nothing that it ended or it didn't work or anything. It just fizzled out.
It actually technically never started.
You'd figure one of those big mouths in that group would have said something.
Yeah. Well, so it's going to be interesting to watch too. So have you guys been paying attention to the Major League Baseball, developments? So the owners came out with a plan yesterday or the day before, and they're in talks now with the MLBPA, and it's about money. What's the revenue share going to be? Is there going to be a cut to the players' pay? How are they going about it? And so I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. This may be the first kind of public view of how people view a industry that needs to come back for the good of the country, so we can see baseball and the players and the owners fighting about their share of whatever revenues come back in. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like. They're going to be the first. They're set. It's like Christine and Savannah trying stuff and see what happens. Do we like this? Oh, we don't like it? Okay, we do? Okay, do more of that. So it'll be interesting to see how that's received. And
Existential flex.
Yeah, I wonder who will be the first back, and then we can start seeing if people are still as engaged or care watching it live on TV. I think they will be. I think they're dying for anything right now.
Oh yeah.
What's Vegas doing with bets these days? I mean, are they betting on the virtual reality stuff? Are they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been dealing with that. They've been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
But
Man.
I also
I just thought maybe
heard
they would be a scene.
the possibility of I don't remember the specific date, but the possibility of Vegas opening sometime in late May, like in the next couple weeks. Y'all heard
Really?
that?
I haven't heard.
I know that there was they're supposed, and I'm not a big MMA fan at all, but I was ESPN was talking about there's the possibility that a big MMA fight could take place not in front of fans. They were making fun of that so-called island that may or may not exist of Dana White's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The possibility of doing it there.
In West Palm Beach.
They were in Florida last week. Yeah. They watched it. Joe Rogan got up and said, well, thanks, nobody, because no one was there. He's interviewing people. It's like, well, thank you, nobody.
Yeah, he's funny. He's funny as hell anyway. Yeah.
I love him. Yeah. But, yeah, they got that taken care of. I just thought Vegas would be a good, pulse of like the insurance companies are, for disaster. Like how bad are your rates going up and how bad are gamblers suffering, or do they know something we don't?
Well,
Even
I know
asked
the mayor,
that question, how bad are gamblers suffering? Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you ask Charles Barkley, he's suffering right now because he doesn't have a problem because he can afford it.
Yeah. Same with Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah. Not a problem if it doesn't hurt you.
Hey, did you guys see y'all saw the interview that was done with Tiger and Phil and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning?
Oh, parts of it.
Oh my God, it's so funny. The 24th, the 24th of May. That event's going to take place in Palm Beach. Yeah, but just it's just funny to watch four icons like that go at it.
Well, my favorite line was when they asked Brady, "Are you tired of beating Manning?" And he went, "Oh no, I can't wait to come back and beat him again."
Peyton's great.
They need to add in what's the one when Bill Murray's on? They need to add that element in where they have some really funny celebs like that.
Oh yeah,
somebody's got to take the Schmales and Carroll on their team.
Yeah.
You're talking about the U.S. Open Pro-Am or the?
Is that what?
Whatever. Yeah.
All right, gents. Anything else to share, or is that it for today?
No, it's good.
All right. We'll see what happens. Robbie and I are talking about one or two people joining. If anyone has any thoughts of anyone that could bring some interest beyond our discussions, that would be great.
Yep.
But in the meantime, stay home, wash your hands, and stay safe. Thanks for coming. We'll see you mañana.